Item 2.0 committee reports. Kathy, you want to give us an update of the May 11th Finance and Facilities meeting?
Yeah, were previously distributed. We had a good meeting, nothing out of the ordinary to report. So unless there's questions, we did review the preferred agenda items and recommend approval on all.
Okay.
I'm happy to take questions. Otherwise, I'd move approval.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the F&F meeting?
I'll move it.
Moved by Nick.
Second, Kathy.
Second by Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. As Kathy mentioned, item 3.0 preferred action items. I'd like to move items 3.1 to 3.9 since they were already reviewed in committee and sent forward for approval. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Kathy.
Motion by Barb, second by
Kathy.
Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Item 4.0, action items. 4.1, recommend approval of the new electronic and information technology EIT accessibility policy. May I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mark,
I'll second this.
second by Nick. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any, anybody not in favor? Any abstentions? So carried. 5.0, President's Report. Dr. Drum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Trustee Hernandez to our board. I hope that this is an enjoyable experience for you, and we look forward to working with you as we go forward. And thank you for pulling over on your way to Ohio to her brother's commencement. It is commencement season. Oberlin has quite a storied history. I'm not sure if they were the first college in the nation to admit women or the first college in the nation to admit students of color, one or the other, I believe. And so quite a nice history for our field there at Oberlin. Lots and lots going on around. We have our drive up commencement next week. Should be on everybody's calendar. Looking forward to that. It'll be a beefed up version of what we did last year, which was a lot of fun. But this year, people will be able to get out of their car and get pictures and whatnot, and take their mask off and have a nice picture with a couple of their loved ones. So a benefit this year that we wouldn't ordinarily have on the stage at the arena. So not all bad. Hopefully now we'll just have some good weather. We had 2 out of 3 days that we did it last year. We had good weather. We had quite rainy weather one of the days, but very much looking forward to that next week. It's Thursday with a Friday rain date, I believe. I want to take this opportunity, since it's the last board meeting of the academic year and a week early due to commencement, to thank everybody for just pitching in and doing whatever we needed to do for the last almost year and a half now. It's hard to believe. It's such a relief to see big light at the end of the tunnel now, with cases coming down and so many people being vaccinated, and looking forward to a pretty normal fall semester, actually a pretty normal summer term, because we're mostly online in the summer anyway. Even way before COVID, most of our summer classes were online because people are busy in the summer. They want to go to the beach or the mountains or wherever and travel and still be able to take their classes. So summer will be pretty much like it always was. But I have to say that I was just amazed at how little impact the virus had on campus. I was prepared for far more. The less than handful of cases we had in the fall, and a couple of handfuls of cases on campus that we've had on campus, that we had this spring, truly extraordinary. And that couldn't have happened if not for the cooperation of student, staff, and faculty, and doing the right thing to help keep everybody safe. Just an extraordinary effort here on the part of everyone to keep everyone safe. And can't thank everybody enough. And along with a whole host of other logistical issues we had to deal with, our maintenance crew, our IT folks, supporting so many faculty and students online for so long now, just extraordinary. And so there's just not enough thanks to go around for the team effort by literally thousands of people that went into keeping people safe on the campus and in the college community for the last 14 months. Not out of the woods yet. We got to keep doing a little more for a few more months, and I'm sure there'll be some protocols in the fall as well. But just exceptional effort on everybody's part. Speaks so well of our academic community and how we worked together to keep everybody safe. Enrollment right now is looking okay. Better right now, certainly better than it was a month ago. No, not even remotely a comparison to where we were a month ago at the start of registration. So pretty good shape today. Again, not setting any records. We're not up by any means. It's just not as bad as so far as we've been projecting. We'll see what happens as we get to August. But thanks to everyone involved with that, with building our schedule, all the faculty and departments involved in building the schedule and trying to come up with a balance between online and on campus. About 40% of our classes online this fall. Typically we're 25-30% online in the fall anyway, so it won't be a huge change. And those online sections are filling up fast, just as they did pre-COVID. So other than having a few more of them, no change in the demand for them. If anything, I guess it makes sense. The demand for online has increased, and probably all across the nation for a variety of reasons, not just people still a little skittish about COVID, I'm sure, and some people who have to be, just the nature of their health. But right now we're encouraged with where we are with enrollment, and also the applications for the culinary program are noticeably up. So we're excited about that as well. We'll see what materializes for fall, but we're very encouraged by that. And if you've been following the news, the demand for people in hospitality is extraordinary right now. So like much as STEM is an issue for the nation, hospitality is going to be an issue for the nation, and finding enough workforce. It's across the board, but it's acute in hospitality right now, particularly in the restaurant industry. So excited to see more interest in that program for fall. And we had some great news since our last meeting with the signing of a new transfer agreement, articulation agreement with our sister school across the river, Binghamton University, and one of the top-ranked business schools in the nation, to have guaranteed seats for graduates from our business program to move into. They'll have 25 seats set aside for our transfers when they complete our business transfer program. It's really exciting. What an extraordinary opportunity for our local folks to have a direct pipeline to one of the top business schools in the country. And we're very excited about that. I want to thank our business faculty and our transfer office for working on that over the last few years. Took a while to get everything perfectly aligned so it could work out that way. And we're very excited about that, and other discussions underway for additional partnerships with the university down the road. So we keep moving the ball down the field there with that, and we're very excited about that. If you've driven by the campus, you've seen an announcement for our new Jumpstart Scholarship. Guaranteeing everyone a minimum of a $500 scholarship here. And now twice that will be available for resident students who end up here. So we're very excited about that. I want to thank our foundation for their support. Just exceptional regarding the impact our foundation has had historically, and now we'll have even more of an impact going forward. This coming year, there'll be over $1.5 million in scholarships. And we can't thank our donors and the foundation enough for the support that we enjoy there with one of the top community college foundations in the nation. We're very excited. I think another thing we're piloting this fall is a shorter term. Instead of the typical 15-week term, we're going to have, we're going to experiment with 7-week terms in some programs, kind of put our toe in the water with shorter terms there. It's a trend all across the country. These shorter terms, you take fewer classes in a shorter period of time rather than your typical 4 or 5 classes over 15 weeks. You might take 2 or 3 over 7 weeks, depending on how that works for your schedule. Fast growing trend all across the country. And so far, the reports are students love it. We've always known students loved it. Many schools out there have had shorter terms for many, many years. But the student outcomes are improving. That is, more students sticking with it and graduating, where those shorter, more intense instructional terms are being offered. So we're excited to get involved with those shorter terms and half the length of your traditional 15-week term. So another innovative step for the college going into fall term. And we've always had, of course, short terms in summer. So it's not like we haven't done it. We have multiple short terms in the summer. So we do have some experience with that. And I think that concludes my report for this evening, Mr. Chair, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Drum. On behalf of the board, I know it's been echoed many times. Kudos to you and your team for your leadership during the pandemic. Excellent job.
I think Mark has a question.
Yeah, just a couple things. So Kevin, with the shorter term and also the online classes, maybe this gets directed to Carol also. Where do you see, how do you see that affecting the student village?
I mean, it really shouldn't. Well, obviously, having more online classes will affect the student village. Although, some of our previous to COVID, a huge number of online registrations all across the country where where students living in their dormitories, living in their residence halls. So it's going to be interesting to see, how much of that happens. We were in dire straits a month or so ago. Application. Carol's away. Her daughter graduated from medical school, so she's away this week.
No, I'm here.
Oh, she's here. I didn't see her there. I didn't see her there hiding in the corner. And we missed you this morning.
Yeah.
So we'll get a housing update here shortly. Applications in the last month jumped way up, which is encouraging. But so I don't see the 7-week term per se having an impact on it. They'd still be here for 14 weeks, taking 2 7-week terms or 4 7-week terms for the academic year. Certainly the added online sections could potentially have an impact there. Remains to be seen. We're having many discussions. I had one today. I can't go into any detail now because it's extremely preliminary regarding alternative ways to fill up the student village in the future.
Yeah, I actually have a question on that subject, Kevin. Not to interrupt, but I know you don't want to talk too much about it. But I guess I was curious if we have any covenants in our loan docs that restrict anything like that.
They do. Right now, the covenants would be our students. I believe it's that specific. It is specific to students at the moment. So, and I believe it's our students. I don't have the legal language right in front of me, but it definitely is restricted to students at the moment. So if we did anything, I believe, outside of our own students, who might be okay with other students, we'd have to check the language. But to do anything other than students, we certainly would have to negotiate with the bank to be able to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Question.
Go ahead, Michael.
President Drum, as far as the transfers to the business school at Binghamton University, what is the minimum GPA for those students?
3.7.
Thank you.
Which is the minimum they take anyway. It's their most competitive school to be admitted to. So that's 3.7 is actually pretty good because they're admitting lots of people with 3.9s and 4.0s.
Any other questions for Dr. Drum? Thank you, Dr. Drum. 5.2, College Assembly. Andrea?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's crazy to think that a month has passed already since the last trustees meeting. But I come to you on behalf of co-chair of College Assembly. The last College Assembly update was given by Brittany Richardson. College Assembly has really kind of focused this year, I think, on educating and finding ways to communicate back to campus about questions, concerns, or issues. In the activity overview, College Assembly really focused on taking the fall Your Voice Matters and developing some professional development sessions around it, which included 2 sessions around our college budget. With the federal funding we've been getting and with our own balance, college budget balance, a lot of people, there was questions, misinformation, things like that floating around. So we thought this was extremely important to deliver to campus. And Michael Sullivan and Larry Allen took significant time out of their day to help us prepare and present to our college constituents. It was received very well. I think it helped quite a bit. And we're just kind of looking forward to what our fall Your Voice Matters is going to bring, considering we'll be starting to come back on campus and getting back into a more of a normal routine. At the end of April, we had our spring Your Voice Matters, not as rambunctious as the fall was. There were a few concerns, but they really just centered around, how college operations is going to reconvene in a more normal basis starting in August. And then I think SUNY answered our questions about mandating immunizations. At our SG chairs meeting on Monday, we have taken the Spring Your Voice Matters information, has categorized it, and we will be sending a summary memo to our executive council and President Drum on that information by next week. And then we'll direct any issues to the appropriate bodies for immediate action, and then we'll follow up in the fall on those. The shared governance bodies has recently endorsed an option to implement a 2-year chair term option. Being chair 1 year and only chair-elect for a semester prior to you taking over is not enough time for training and transfer of information, as there are an abundance of things that shared governance is responsible for, including our Chancellor's Awards process, which is also undergoing an update this year as well, to make it more centralized and to get that process more visible to campus and an understanding what that is about. I'm happy to say that we have elected a new chair beginning in the fall, Sandra Stevens. She was also the recipient of our Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Classified Service. So we're really excited to bring Sandra to shared governance, and her chair-elect duties begin immediately. In fact, she's gonna chair our next SG chairs meeting. So we're excited to have a full chair house. And then basically for fall, we want to hit the ground running with implementing that 2-year chair term within the shared governance bylaws. And then of course, along with addressing our campus community needs and to helping create solutions for our campus as well. So we need a summer's rest, but we're excited for the fall as well. And that concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Andrea? Thank you, Andrea. Item 5.3, Student Affairs Update, Dr. Ross Scott.
Hi, good evening. Well, actually, I was in Florida, South Florida, because our soon-to-be adopted daughter, who's a Broome graduate, is the one who graduated from Florida Memorial. She finished with the 3.93, so I'm very happy. She's going to take a gap year. I don't understand why, before she applies to law school. So I'm going to give her that little gap year. And so we're back now after we made another stop. But for the student affairs update, speaking of the hospitality program, I want to share the Chopped event that we had, and then I will turn it over to Shelley. Okay, Diana, I don't see where I can start it. Oh, there it is. Can you hear? You can't hear, huh?
You have to unclick the
Unmute it. Unmute it,
Oh,
Dr.
duh, that might help. Okay, wait a minute. Mm, mm, mm. Uh-oh. Okay, now that I'm back, one of the biggest challenges that we've had this year was trying to make sure that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Diana.
You have to go back to your computer screen and turn it off.
I'm so sorry. Lord. Now did it stop?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's,
Diana, what do I do?
we can't hear it. So
You can't hear it?
Don't hear
no,
anything.
we just hear you.
You
So we
just see me losing it.
Yeah. So we can't see your screen. So you're not sharing anything with us.
Oh, Lord, help me. Okay, if you can't, because I can hear YouTube is still going. I'm really sorry. When Shelley comes on to talk about how we have managed to keep the students engaged during this past semester and during COVID, I'll try and figure out how to fix this screen. But without further ado, I will introduce Shelley because right now I'm mortified. I'm just mortified. Okay, Shelley, it's on you now.
Okay, well, that makes it easier for me to follow, right? I can say whatever I need to. Can everybody hear me? Because I didn't hear any of that, Carol. I'm seeing some nods. Thank you for having me here, trustees. I am Shelley Cordisco, and today I am in the role of interim associate vice president and dean of students. Last time I met with this group, I believe I had my director of sponsored programs hat on. So I am very happy to be here and talk about student engagement over a very challenging period of the pandemic and how that's worked out for us. Dr. Ross actually this morning sent me an email asking me to briefly talk about campus life engagement over this past summer. And of course, the key word there is briefly, because there really is lots of great stuff that's been happening. And so what to report on. In your board packet is Dr. Ross's report. It's got all the nuts and bolts in it, the numbers and details. So I'm not going to bore you with all of the percentages and things. I just really want to underscore some exceptional accomplishments and do some shout outs while we're live streaming here. And campus life is athletics, right? So our athletics department this fall ended with a cross-country season and then moved into the spring with adding in softball, esports, men's and women's tennis. I'm proud to say that our men's tennis team won the regionals. Dr. Drum should be very pleased with our men's tennis team this year. Our esports team also made it to the Overwatch semifinals. And although they didn't get to the final round, they made it to the semifinals. And I have to really throw out a huge, shout out to Nigel Deacon, their coach. He and the team deserve major kudos on making it to the semifinals. It was their first year of full competition. Esports, it runs both in the fall and the spring. And we made it to semifinals in our first year in the game. Next up is counseling services, and counseling services is new to our campus life family, having moved over from academic affairs to student affairs just this past fall. It wasn't done just because, it was done because of a concerted effort to reframe our campus life programming and services within a more holistic health and wellness context. And I have to say it's working. Despite losing a full-time counselor in the fall, the counseling services team has accomplished much more than just, I believe I've got an updated number, 320 individual counseling sessions this semester. This month alone, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So they brought to campus a nationally recognized group, Art with Impact. And this is a phenomenal organization. It uses short films to start meaningful dialogue with young people about mental health issues. Art with Impact typically comes with a price tag of about $3,000 for one session. Our counselors, shout out Anne Marie, actually got this performance gratis. And so Art with Impact can now add to their resume that SUNY Broome was their first college in the SUNY system to take on their programming. Also, because it is Mental Health Awareness Month and because suicide is very much a real issue to our students, to me personally, I give a special shout out to our counseling chair, Melissa Martin. She pulled together a team of faculty, staff, and students, and we participated in Out of the Darkness, a virtual walk with our proceeds benefiting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And our SUNY Broome team actually placed third in that virtual walk for raising funds during the walk. So what can we add to counseling services to make sure student engagement is holistic and well-rounded? We decided bring over student health services from public safety. So now student health services has joined the campus life team. And part of that move was because Chief O'Connor retired this fall, and it gave us the opportunity to really look at how do we build programming among our different areas. And one way to do that is to pair up counseling and student health services together under the Dean of Students office. Enter RN Megan Hanvey. Megan Hanvey is our very own registered nurse. She came to us in late December, and she's been working throughout this semester with our public safety folks on doing pool testing every week. And she's also been a guest, an expert panelist on several professional development opportunities targeting students in our nursing program, other health science programs. Megan herself is enrolled in the Family Nurse Practitioner Master's Program at BU, and she even finds time to moonlight at a critical access hospital out in the boonies, Walton, New York. Then specific to the Dean of Students office, yes, we are still dealing with student conduct issues on a regular basis. And yes, we have had to expel a couple students this semester, but the good news is we maintained a steady caseload of 20 single parent students in our grant-funded family empowerment program. And we've distributed more than $126,000. Shout out Kathy Williams. and our new Student Emergency Fund program. And one thing I'd be remiss in talking about Dean of Students Office, we have our Students' Rights and Responsibility Coordinator, also known as our Conduct Officer, Brandon Manning. He is just literally days, maybe it's hours now, away from receiving his master's degree in student affairs at our sister college, Binghamton University. And yes, lastly, I'm at the end to round out campus life accomplishments for spring semester 2021. We should talk about our Student Activities Office. With no student activities director at the helm this year, our Student Assembly, shout out Mike Woodward, and our student clubs have been stepping up and taking the lead to engage their peers. I'm going to give you one example, actually two, but the first is a student club. It's the Fulcrum. Our student newspaper, finally, it's gone digital. This morning when I came into work, I found 4 notifications for 4 brand new articles by our student reporters that had posted to the Fulcrum. And yes, the Fulcrum is how I knew our esports team made it to the semifinals. We had a student reporter who made the first public splash about that happening. And I would be remiss not to say, Chris Keaty, faculty advisor for the Fulcrum, more power to you, buddy. You've done a great job with getting that process up and running digitally. And then lastly, great segue to the Student Assembly update. Student Assembly, COVID wreaked havoc on all student engagement on campus in person. But as I'm sure Mike will report to you in a few moments, there's been a lot of accomplishments. And the one that I really pulled out to let you know about is the Food for Thought initiative. It's a collaborative effort that was born out of the Student Assembly's Food and Security Committee's work to revamp the college's food pantry concept. Especially during COVID, students didn't have access to a food pantry on campus, but they still were in desperate need for food and basic essentials. So that committee came together, figured out a different way to make a food pantry concept happen. And they funded that by a Speakers of the House student organization. That student organization raised over $1,400 to start a fund for the Food for Thought initiative. And just this week, we issued our very first gift card to a student in need of food to go to the Broome County Farmers Market to get some great fresh produce. No matter where they are, local or remote, having access to the very basic essentials, food, is important for our students. So I very much thank Student Assembly for figuring out ways to make sure that even our remote learners have access to food when they need it. I think I've covered it all. Athletics, counseling, student health, student conduct, student activities. I just have to say I'm very proud to be involved with such an exceptional campus life team and the many exceptional student populations that we serve. It really, truly has been a remarkable time for me in my interim role as Dean of Students. I couldn't have asked for a better experience and learning experience for myself. So I really do appreciate Dr. Ross for having the faith in me and being able to support me through a whole new experience myself. Who knew COVID would hit right when I said, sure, I'll try out the Dean of Students office and see what's going on over there. It's been quite a ride and I appreciate it. That concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'm sure Dr. Ross can answer them.
Chair Panich, I would like to thank Shelley for stepping in and stepping up in the role, because I know it was a huge task, especially because she's pulling double duty, still working sponsored programs, as well as Danielle, who has stepped in to provide yeoman's work and support. We couldn't have made it without the both of them being so willing to work. So that's our report on campus life.
Any questions from the trustees? Great job to you and your team.
Thank you.
5.4, student assembly update. Michael? Did he drop off?
Nope, he's here.
Sorry about that. I
There
didn't
it
unmute.
is.
Here I am. The Student Assembly Constitution and Handbook have been completed and will be voted on by Student Assembly tomorrow. Activities Committee, the homeless awareness event went very well online. We did have our speakers as well as information for students that are experiencing food issues, food insecurities. The Food Insecurities Committee, gift cards are still available and will be available for the farmers market. We're also working with a Greater Good grocery store on the north side of Binghamton until the end of the semester. And then also for our online students from downstate, through my experience in working in New York, I was able to contact a organization called the Community Harvest, which is a organization that runs food pantries in New York City for our remote learners down there. And then also our election update. Currently, we only have 2 candidates for senator positions next semester and none for the e-board at this time. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Michael. 5.5 BCC Foundation report. Kathy?
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. My report is in the packet. There's a lot of financial details in there. I will share with you that the foundation continues to do very well with generating revenue, whether it's through fundraising or the majority of our gain and our financial gain at the end of March was due primarily to net unrealized gains of about $5.6 million in our endowed funds. That's compared to last year on March 31st, when we had a net gain of $5,000. And you'll recall that's when the investment markets began to experience some significant volatility. So we've done very well throughout the remainder of the year. Our fundraising, we've raised more than $975,000 already in contributions this year, which is absolutely phenomenal considering the pandemic and considering the tenuous economic situation that many of our constituents are facing. But people really stepped it up, and those that could gave more. And so we've been very, very fortunate, still obtaining funding from our local foundations, corporations, community friends, alumni donors, faculty and staff. And we've just had a very, very remarkable year. A lot of what Dean Cordisco was talking about in terms of, what happened over the course of the year was many of our students experiencing more personal emergencies, whether they were financial or whether they were having some mental health challenges, academic problems in school, difficulty with making the quick transition to remote learning environment. We really feel like the foundation is proud to have been able to step up due to the generous support from our donors with the Student Emergency Fund program. We are going to be having a joint press conference with Lockheed Martin, who, as you have been hearing, donated a $75,000 gift to support our students during this past year with student emergency funds. I want to thank Dean Cordisco and our financial aid director, Laura Hodel, who came to our board meeting in January and shared preliminary information on the students that were helped. And one of the things and the reasons that we do what we do around creating this student emergency fund is that we know that nationwide, it's estimated that more than 3 million students a year will drop out of school when they're faced with a financial emergency of $500 or less. So our hope in giving away, I think will be up over the $140,000 mark by the end of the semester is that we, and we can track it, have prevented students from walking away and dropping out because of a financial emergency they might have had. Just wanted to let you know that our reunion, of course, we haven't had any in-person events in the last year and 4 months, but we are actually approaching our 3rd week of Alumni Virtual Reunion Month. And I'm proud to tell you that in the past 2 weeks, we had 2 different events. The first one was the showing of the virtual tour of campus to give our alumni a view of campus. And one of the things we found was we had folks from 11 states join us all across the country, and even one of our graduates who is living in Honduras right now. So I can pretty much 100% guarantee you that most of the people that were on these virtual events were people that would never have been able to come to campus in a pandemic or outside of a pandemic. So we've just been very excited on the first couple of presentations. Next week is our virtual alumni art show, and our folks in our art department, the faculty, are helping us with that. We've got an online art show, and many of our alumni submitted, I think it's 40 or 45 pieces of their artwork. And so that'll be next week. And then the final week on May 26th will be department breakout sessions with 4 of our faculty members. And that will be Maureen Hankin, who is the chair of our dental hygiene program. We have Lee Martindale, professor from criminal justice. And we have Robert Lofthouse from our engineering science program. And we have Sandy Wright from our business information management program. And they are going to be presenting about their departments within the different divisions, and, you know, in some cases giving a tour, a presentation, answering questions for our alumni about the programs. And one of the things that's been really cool is we have a lot of former students who, for example, last night we had the Everglades, experiencing the Everglades event, which is a program that has been in existence for 45 years, where each year a cohort of students from many different programs takes a trip down to the Everglades. And I think the primary original cohort of people was from the biology department, but we saw students last night who'd been going to the Everglades for the last 40 years, and we met some from almost every year that the trip went, and it was just really nice. We've connected with people we've never even met before, including hearing the story about the alligator, but we'll save that for another time. The other thing I just wanted to let you know, we've been particularly challenged is the student scholarship application rate that we have going on right now. And usually I'm proud to report to you that we have several hundred applicants that are applying for more than $1.3 million in scholarships and awards that we give away every year. And we have had a really difficult time outreaching to students, and it was quite a challenge to get enough students in the buckets, not only our continuing students, and I do have to thank Dean Michelle Snyder and Dean Michael Kenny for their work in helping to move their faculty into the selection process, and for themselves stepping in to help us with that. But where we are seeing a decline is the incoming students who are coming from local high schools. And so we've been partnering with our admissions folks, our Andrea Roma with Fast Forward outreach to every guidance officer that we can find in our communities and beyond, who will encourage students to apply for scholarships, because we have a lot of money to give away. We still have that application open, and it will be closing on June 1st. I'm happy to say our continuing and graduating and transferring students were notified this afternoon of their scholarship awards if they got them. So we got a flurry of activity this afternoon of some very excited students with a lot of questions. So, and we couldn't do any of that without the support of our donor family, who's created all the scholarships that we do. And that's pretty much my report. The rest is in there. And just want to say thank you for questions that you might have.
Questions for Kathy? Thank you, Kathy. 5.6 facilities update. Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You should have my report in front of you. I would like to hit some of the highlights. We have plans underway to construct 3 permanent pavilions on campus this summer, and hopefully that will occur. It's going to be driven by the availability of construction materials, which has become, to say the least, difficult to obtain. But the intent is to encourage the use of more outdoor space on the campus. That's going to be in conjunction with a couple of patios we're building on either side of the library. So we're really going to try to encourage both staff and students to get outside come fall and use more of the outdoor space that's available to them for academic and other purposes. We have architectural/design work underway for 4 major projects, 3 roof replacements, the library, business, and student center, and also the repaving of a number of campus parking lots, which will include the construction of both new and replacement sidewalk. To enhance the appearance of 2 of our oldest buildings, Old Science and Student Services, which go back to 1956, we are in the process of painting the exterior red metal panels. We're going to paint them silver and black to match them up with whales, so that the exterior appearance of those is enhanced. In addition to that, we are going to tint the windows in both buildings, which will also add to the exterior appearance, but will also benefit us from the standpoint of energy savings. As I noted at the FNF meeting, we are working with a local architectural firm to evaluate the signing down at the Culinary Events Center, so that we can provide both signing out in front of that building and then some wayfinding signing as well, because once that building is reopened and utilized the way it was intended, we expect that the number of events to be held there would increase greatly. You can see we also have installed 2 new water pumps at the ice center to circulate hot water for heat. We continue to work on plans for the installation of a permanent standby generator for the IT server in the business building. And I think the last point I want to make, and I made it at FNF, is that with the exception of the major capital projects here, all of the work that we get done or we do on campus is done by both facilities, maintenance and facilities custodial staff. Our guys do a great job. I've tried to encourage and keep the work in-house. It gives them a sense of ownership. It gives them a sense of pride in what they're doing on the campus. And they really are professionals and do a really, really good job. So I'm really proud of their efforts. And hopefully over the course of the next few years, that's going to become more and more apparent as we get more work done. And with that, I will be more than happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Michael, I assume 5.6, 5.7, 5.8 are just routine?
Yes.
Okay, 5, and probably 5.9 is routine as well.
Yes.
5.10, human resource update. Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The personnel report that's reflecting April 2021 is standard activity and for informational purposes.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. 5.11, budget and finance update. Michael?
Yes, so the college is continuing to forecast a balanced budget. We're through month 8 of the fiscal year, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Wow, that's the shortest ever.
Ever.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael? 5.12, candidate for continuing appointment, Dr. Hayes. Dr. Haynes, my apologies.
Dr. Haynes is not attending today, but I believe this is just information information item and standard report.
Okay. 5.13 Student Village Housing Report. Dr. Ross, you gave an update earlier. Do you want to add anything to that?
It's the standard report.
Thank you. 5.14 Media Report. Jesse?
Jesse is absent from the meeting, and again, this is just information item, standard report.
Okay. Any new business to come forward in this meeting? None being heard, I guess. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Moved by Mark, second by Jason. I saw his hand go up there. Everybody have a great week, and thank you very much, and we'll see you at our next meeting on June 17th.
Sounds
At
good.
5 o'clock.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.